Hello, everyone. I hope you're doing well and everything is good with you. We are presenting the paper which is related to bilingualism in the early years, what the science says in today's session. And the topic of discussion is that how do children acquire a language or how can be addressed bilingualism in terms of the concerns that the parents have about their children. So the focus of this session is bilingualism, and we will present some research findings and the recent research findings about this one. As you may know, nowadays bilingualism is a hot topic of discussion for practitioners, not only at the level of scientists and researchers, but also parents are concerned about this as well. So this is not something that is being limited or that is being actually happening only in Asia or in Europe. It is a worldwide issue, and this is quite important for us to have some insights about what is happening about this one. So many children all around the world are bilingual, and they have some parents, okay, and the parents are also bilingual, or either they have the parents of different languages. For example, one parent is Chinese, the other parent is Turk, or one parent is Indian, and the other parent is Persian. So, parents of different parts of the world, and parents of different genders, and parents of different languages. It is quite important for us to see how children are being affected by the parents of different languages and how what is the effect of context surrounding them on their understanding and the bilingualism and also language development. So, language development in particular, or bilingualism in general, is the basic focus of today's discussion, which is quite important for us. And we believe that language development is a part of psycholinguistics because it involves the development of the brain, the development of the mind, and also understanding. So, all of these things are important at the same level and at the same time. And in order to address and answer the questions related to bilingualism, we need to address some concerns that we have at the moment. So we need to take a look at the recent research findings, okay, as it is being represented on the screen in this paper. Later, I will share this paper with you and to see how research findings are consistent or how do they represent the concerns to us. So we know that people and parents talk to their children, okay, in the language that is easier for themselves. And in the case that parents are sharing the same language, so there will be no problem and the child will be monolingual since the child only needs to learn one language to understand and communicate with both parents. But in the cases that parents of or of different races, different languages in different countries, so children have more important tasks to acquire an additional language to communicate with the other parent as well. While the parents are communicating with each other, okay, in one language, some of them may communicate with the child or with their children in another language. What does it mean? It means that the parents talk to each other in English, but the parents talk to the child in their own mother tongue, okay, which is Chinese or Indian or Tamil or whatever. So this is the case that we are concerned about this one. But there is a complicated history of positive and negative press about raising children in bilingual households. And one of the main concerns is that is it a threat? Can it postpone the process of language development? Can it cause some difficulties for children? Can it affect children's productivity, children's learning, children's cognitive abilities? And all these concerns, okay, are the consequences of the phenomena that we know nowadays as bilingualism. So, even though there are a number of bilingual children, still we face some concerns about this one, and because the research findings are inconsistent, so somehow the question that okay, how to address this one? Is it good or bad? So always as practitioners, we will face with the question that is it good or is it bad? Okay, this is the question that we need to address. Here we aim to address the most frequently asked questions about the childhood bilingualism, and we will use research findings to support what we are going to discuss. Okay, because bilingualism is a matter of developmental psychology, cognitive psychology, education, linguistics, and also communication. And somehow it is related to disorders and also cultural points as well. So it is not a simple issue or it is not unidimensional. Fact that we can address this because this is a multidimensional idea. We need to look at the issue from different perspectives and different ideas at the same time. And we need to consider the situation and the people who are involved in the process, like parents, siblings, family members, school teachers, context, TV, movies, songs, books, and everything. Okay, that you can think of. So this is quite important to address this topic. And in particular, if you want to define this scientifically or the operational definition of the bilingualism, we can refer to the ability to use two languages in everyday life. So as far as you can speak two languages, you are considered bilingual. But the difference comes from the way that you have learned or you've acquired the language. So sometimes you learn the language which is a conscious way of learning, and sometimes you learn the language unconsciously, which is known as the acquisition. And basically in this class from now on, we will consider acquisition as an unconscious process of learning the language, which mainly happens to children in their critical age or critical period. Hypothesis that we have, which refers uh, to to 15 years old to 9 years old, and so something like this. But particularly for the infants to be bilingual before year three, it can happen, and it is a matter of different issues which are involved. So they will look at how people surrounding talk, and they will take a statistics and they will count the words and they will notice the patterns, and they will create their own production based on the input that they have received. Because of that, it is important for us to be very careful and cautious about what we say and how we talk and what is okay in our conversation with the children, because they can learn easily, they can follow us easily. Okay, it takes time. They will check okay across several sources and several methods, but still we need to be careful about it. So contact between two languages is typical in the region of many continents, including Europe. Okay, and you can see that people who are bilingual are so common in countries all over the world, and the parents they are the key parts of this chain and communication. So the science of bilingualism is a young field, and also it needs a lot of investigation. Still, it is not the final fruits of this tree. So we need to have some further investigations in terms of the factors involved, in terms of the ideas which are there. And the concerns that have been addressed here needs to be investigated in details, okay, based on the research findings that we can have. But the question is that is it good for a child to have one language or two languages? Does it affect the cognitive development? And can it bring language disorder, or can it postpone the cognitive development of the children, or can it bring anxiety, stress, or can it bring motivation? Or can it affect the well-being of the children or not? And also, what is the proper age? So these are the basic questions that we need to talk about when we are addressing this idea. Okay. So one of the basic questions that we need to talk about is that are bilingual children confused? Why confusion is here a matter of importance? Because some people believe that when you provide two different types of inputs to children, okay, this might be confusing for them. Okay, they don't know what is true and what is wrong. But is it really so? I mean, is it true? And this is one of the biggest concerns that parents have. Okay, scientific evidence has shown that no, this is not true because they have the ability to differentiate between two languages and two systems of communication. So they do not mix up and they are confused because of this one. Okay, one misunderstood behavior is that, which is often taken as evidence for confusion, is when bilingual children mix words from two languages. Sometimes you can hear that the child whose parents are talking English and Tamil produces a sentence in which some words are English and some words are Tamil. So is this confusion? I mean, once children use some words of their second language in a sentence which is being posed in first language. Is this confusion? No, because we as adults also do the same thing. Sometimes we are talking in English, but you use some Malay words, some Chinese words in your sentence. So this is not a sign of confusion, and this is a misunderstanding that some parents have. Okay, and this is a part of the language development when they are developing the system of the language in their mind, okay, they may face some lack of knowledge, a lack of information, a lack of proper word list. As far as they can develop their words, the number of the words that they know and they can talk, so they can also improve their sentence quality and they can replace those words from the second language okay, with the target language. So this is a misunderstanding, and we should not be um, anxious about this one. And one reason is that this is called code switching. So particularly code switching is referring to what? Code switching is referring to using some words of your second language when you are talking in your first language. Okay, and this is no more a concern for children, for bilingual children, and this is not a sign of confusion because it could be seen as a path of least resistance and also a sign of bilingual children's ingenuity. Okay, they are developing their language, and whenever they face a difficulty, they are going to solve that difficulty. They are going to address that difficulty. They are going to settle that difficulty, and they are using the available knowledge that they have in order to overcome that difficulty. Okay, that they have faced. And also about bilingual infants readily distinguish their two languages and show no evidence of confusion. I mean that the research is consistent about this and it makes no difference between children and infants and it considers both the same okay, in terms of this confusion. In research shows that there is no confusion regarding using one language in the other, which is known as the code switching okay and we need to wait until they can develop their language reportable correctly so that they can improve their sentences and also this is mixed with meta-linguistic features such as facial expression sign language pauses and all these things are there. Okay, the next question that we need to address is that does bilingualism make children smarter? Yeah, this is a good question. So we need to look at the issue cognitively, okay? Because knowing two languages is more difficult than knowing one language. And this question comes to mind that okay, if you learn two languages, are you smarter? Okay, does it make you smarter when you learn two languages rather than the condition that you learn only one? And all children are children who are but better to say children who knows two languages are smarter than children who know one language. This is the question. So let's take a look at the research findings about this one of the most important benefits of early bilingualism is that often it takes for granted is that bilingual children will know multiple languages. So we know this. Then they can communicate more. But is it a sign of being smarter? Several studies have suggested that bilingual children show certain advantages when it comes to social understanding. It means that in social context, yes, they have better performance. And in some ways, this is not surprising because bilingual children must navigate a complex social world where different people have different language knowledge, okay, and they need to communicate with different people. So, communicating with different people and different cultures and different languages necessitates a type of better understanding and working or performing smarter. So they have enhanced their sensitivity to certain features of communication, okay, such as tone, such as rhythm, okay, such as pauses, and they have increased their sensitivity, and this sensitivity, uh, and this increase in their sensitivity is a sign of the cognitive development, and they appear to be better more than monolingual. So once they have the code switching, all these things, so they show some cognitive advantages, okay, in their communication, and there is some evidence that bilingual infants are advantaged in certain aspects of memory. So not only in social aspect and cognition, but also in memory, we can see that there are some advantages included in this. Okay, and this is because they normally switch quickly between this and that. So the switch is so important, okay, between the to increase the speed of the brain processing. But let's take a look at a different question, the question number three, which is it best for each person to speak only one language with a bilingual child? You know, some parents believe that from the early days of the birth, the child, for example, father should talk to child only in English, and mother should talk to only in Malay or only in Chinese. Okay, and this should be continuous. It means that you talk in English and only in English. So you never talk in other languages, which is known one person, one language. Okay, this was a strategy which dates to 100 years ago. That parents, one person, one language, and they believe that if it happens, then it works well, and the theories in that time supported this. But is it true? I mean, does mm, the research or the findings of research studies show or support this or not? So this is the question. One important topic that we need to talk about here is that there are some strategies that families use in order to improve the child's performance, okay, regarding bilingualism, or they want to promote early bilingual development of the children, one of which is this one person, one language approach. Okay, so the research has shown that this is neither necessary nor sufficient for successful bilingualism. So this could be effective, but this is not sufficient and this is not necessary. It means that even if children talk to their parents in any of the languages that the parents know, still this bilingualism may happen as far as they receive proper input, okay? Proper amounts of input for their language development. And several other factors have been proven to be important as well, rather than this one person language. And we need to remember that infants learn language through listening and interacting. So input is very important. And if we want to make sure that our infants and children are bilingual or become bilingual, we need to provide enough input. It means that as much as input that they receive for first language, they should receive for the second language. And to the extent that one language is advantaged in comparison with the second one, I mean the input of first language is more than the other language, the development for that language will be better, okay, rather than the other one. So basically, we need. I have told many times that children take statistics, so they need to have 50% exposure to first language and 50% exposure to the second language. If you change this balance, so the language development is changed at the same time. Okay, that's the case. The next question that we need to answer is that should parents avoid mixing languages together? I mean, in terms of psycholinguistic theories, if parents talk to children in both languages, is it a threat to the language development of the child? No. This is the question. So this is called code mixing, the use of elements from two different languages in the same sentence. That previously we mentioned code switching for children, and this is code mixing, which means it happens in one sentence rather than one sentence finished and the other sentence. So if it happens in one sentence, it is code mixing, and conversation is a normal part of being a bilingual and interacting with other bilingual speakers. So code mixing is relatively frequent among bilingual parents, and research has shown that it has an impact on children's development. And yeah, it is dependent on the age of the children. So one study of 18 and 24 months old children found that high amounts of code switching with parents was related to a smaller vocabulary size. Why? Because it would be difficult for children to differentiate and to discriminate and to understand the words. So you are mixing, and it takes more time for them to make sure what is true and what is wrong. And further studies are being revealing that bilingual children as young as 20 months are able to understand code mixed sentences and show similar processing patterns in bilingual adults. But as they get older, they will have the ability and they have the power to discriminate, to actually differentiate between these things and to distinguish codes and code switching, okay, and presents better understanding. So this is not a matter of uh, concern for them. And the other question that we need to address is that when is the proper time? Is can we say the sooner the better, or is earlier better, or not? You know that there is a critical period hypothesis, and we also talked about this critical period hypothesis in the class as well. Okay, but yeah, some researchers actually have suggested that 5 to 15 years old is a good time for bilingualism, and the sooner is the better. But this point is best understood as an interaction between biological and environmental factors. It means that age is important, but the context is also important as well. So if you start at an early age, but the amount of exposure is not enough, I mean, the parents are not around to talk with the children. So they will not become bilingual quickly. It takes time because of that. It is not a unidimensional aspect. It is a multidimensional aspect that we need to consider environment, biological factors, society, and many things into consideration. But in other words, our brains may be more receptive to language early in life. Okay, this is a matter of consensus in research, and importantly, our environment is also important for this one at the same time. And we need to consider that the maturational environmental differences between younger and older, okay, are the determiner of the best age, okay, for language acquisition. And language immersion programs also in elementary schools are good. So the children, bilingual children, have two chances to become bilingual with the parents or immersion programs at schools that we have nowadays. Are bilingual children more likely to have language difficulties, delays, or disorders? Yeah, this is very important. And we receive many questions, and many research studies have been conducted on this one. So, bilingual children are not more likely than monolingual children to have difficulties with language, to show delays in learning, or be diagnosed with language disorder. Okay, research shows that no, bilingualism is not a threat. Bilingualism is not a concern. And children who are learning two languages may function as children who learn one language. So you shouldn't be uh, concerned about this one. And parents' perception are often otherwise. They believe that this is a threat, but this is not. Research has revealed that this is not. And the only thing that you need to consider is that if you mix words, as I mentioned, code mixing and code switching, it may delay the process, which is better not to mix these words, okay, together to find out what is that. So in this article, actually, we discussed that some concerns are there, but bilingualism is considered an advantage and is an assistant to cognitive development and is nice for cognitive development. And we need to have this for children, regardless of the some mess that the parents have and some concerns. Research is not supporting those disadvantages, and research is quite supportive towards raising your children bilingual. Okay, and you know that there are some levels of language development for children. Okay, no difference between first language and second language. That you will discuss this later for us. Thank you so much for your attention.